Good morning. Welcome to The Grove. We're so glad you guys joined us. Wherever you're watching, hope you're having a good one, a good Sunday morning. A little brisk this morning here in Chandler. Of course, brisk for us means probably 50 degrees. So wherever you are, you might be in a much colder climate. We're glad you joined us. Here we are. I don't know when you can't say Happy New Year anymore. We're 8 days in, but I'm still going to say it. Happy New Year to you and your family. We're glad that you are with us and a part of our community. And speaking of community, that is the name of the series we are currently in, and that we're preaching through in the month of January is called Community. And community is such an important piece to our lives, to our growth. I mean, I feel like God made us not to do life alone. We need each other, and that's not a bad thing. It's good to need each other. It's good to lean on your community around you. And so maybe for you that's a hard thing, right? Because community can also point out where you're lacking and where you are alone and where you feel lonely, right? And so we're going to talk about that. We hope you can find at least a piece of your community here at the Grove. We feel we have a church community that is growing and thriving right now. There's lots of ways you can plug in. We want you to do that. We want you to get in and be a part of that in any way possible. So a couple things just want to put on your radar. We do have some ministries kicking off here in the next week or two. First of all, our Sky Basketball League kicks off this week. So I believe today is the absolute last day you can sign up your child to play in our basketball league, our kids basketball league. And so basically the way it works is they will be put on a team. They will practice sometime during the week, and then on Saturdays they will have games. And it's a great league for them to get acquainted with the game of basketball, get to know it, just connect with some other kids in a Christian community as well. So hopefully your kids can do that as well. Another thing, we have our counseling ministries kicking off this week, our support ministries. We have Grief Share kicking off Tuesday, 6 to 8, and Thursday morning, 9 to 11, if that's a better time for you. Or we also have an online group that meets Thursday evenings from 6:15 to 8. So all three options of Grief Share for you there if you've gone through a loss. Recently or not so recently, it's just a way to connect with other people, bring some community over the fact that you have this thing in common of losing someone close to you. We also have Divorce Care, and that's kicking off Thursday, 6 to 8. Along with that, we have a brand new program we're starting called Divorce Care for Kids. And so this is for kids of divorce to have a place to find support and connection. And so that's at the exact same time, 6 to 8 on Thursdays. You can sign up for all of these things on our website, on the counseling page, Divorce Care for Kids, also on our kids page as well. So those are some things you can do. Also, if you have a student, we have all of their winter camps going on here. Basically, the high school group is starting this Friday, and they're going up to Williams for the Lost Canyon Young Life Camp on January 13th. So if you have a high school student, it's not too late to sign up for that camp. If you've got a 5th or 6th grade student, our Zone Ministry is doing winter camp on February 10th, and they're going up to Prescott to UCYC. And then our junior high ministry is the final one, that is February 17th, back at that Young Life Camp in Williams as well. So awesome things you can do to get involved. Men's and women's ministries are kicking off here soon as well on their Wednesday and Tuesday programs. And so lots of community coming at you in the new year here. Make 2023 a year of community for you and your family, a year of connection, a year of growth, a year of growing closer to God by connecting with his people. I think they say they will know we are Christians by our love, and community is our chance to be the hands and feet of Jesus. And so community is awesome. Like, we need it, but we also need to give it. It's both and so hopefully that is something that resonates with you. We have an amazing message today from Palmer talking about community. Late in the message too, he's going to bring up a good friend of mine who's going to share his story. And it's an amazing story of community in recovery. And so you want to definitely stay tuned for that and hear that. And finally, just want to give a shout out. Nate and Andrea Hughes had their baby this morning, bright and early, 2:34 a.m. And so they are recovering and full of joy, I'm sure, and not sleep probably. So keep them in your prayers and their brand new baby boy who's now in the world. And so we'll go ahead and kick it inside now. And thanks for joining us again. Have an amazing morning with us as we stand and we worship together. Thank you guys. Enjoy.
Good morning, Grove. Let's stand to our feet. Begin to worship the Lord in this brand new year. God of Abraham, you're the God of covenant and faithful promises. Time and time again, you have proven you'll do just what you say. Though the storms may come and the winds may blow, I'll remain steadfast. And let my heart learn when you speak a word, it will come to pass. Great is your faithfulness to me. Great is your faithfulness to me. God, from age to age, though the earth may pass away, your word remains the same. Your history can prove there's nothing you can't do. You're faithful and true. Though the storms may come and the winds may blow, I'll remain steadfast. And let my heart learn when you speak a word, it will come to pass. Great is your faithfulness to me. Great is your faithfulness to me. From the rising sun to the setting sun, I will praise your name. Great is your faithfulness to me. I put my faith in Jesus, my anchor to the ground, my hope and firm foundation. He'll never let me down. Oh, I put my faith in Jesus, my anchor to the ground, my hope and firm foundation. Oh, he'll never let me down. I put my faith in Jesus, my anchor to the ground, my hope and firm foundation. Oh, he'll never let me down. Oh, I put my faith in Jesus, my anchor to the ground, my hope and firm foundation. Oh, he'll never let me down. Oh, he'll never let me down. Great is your faithfulness to me. Great is your faithfulness to me. From the rising sun to the setting same, I will praise your name. Great is your faithfulness to me.
Hey, good morning, Grove, and good morning to those of you online joining us as well. Before you sit down, why don't you turn, say hi to somebody, and share with them right now. Are you excited where your team is? Are you in a bit of mourning right now?
Please.
Hey, just a couple quick reminders for you of things that are happening. Those of you with kids, today's the last day. Sign them up for Sky Basketball. So this is a fantastic program. Each year we run Sky Basketball. This is the first year that your kids will actually be playing on a real basketball court that we put in there. So they're going to love that. Yeah, they're going to love it. And with some new hoops and the whole thing. So if you haven't already, man, sign them up for that. If you'd like to help out with that, let Kyle know. The table's outside, so ask him any questions, sign him up today. And secondly, this week, on Wednesday, our art ministry, our artistry gathering kicks off. You see it there, January 11th at 6:30. Over in the art room. So for all of you here that are artists of any type, this is a gathering obviously designed for you. It's a space to innovate and create and design through all different forms and mediums of art. So love to have you come out and be a part of that. Well, today we're continuing our series on community, and we're going to be reminded of how from the very beginning of Christianity, when this whole thing started, it has always been a team sport. Following Jesus is not something that we're meant to do alone, nor can we do it alone. In fact, when we read the New Testament, we discover that it's impossible for us to live out and do what the New Testament talks about by ourselves. Can't do it. And we're not supposed to either. And if there's one thing that I've learned from the TV show series Alone, is that being alone doesn't work out very well for anybody. So, and if you've seen the show, you know what I'm talking about. The good news, of course, is that we're not meant to, we're not designed to. God never intended that. He never intended for us to follow him and to live this out and to do life by ourselves. He has made us a community, a family. So that's what we're going to be looking at this morning. Would you stand with me? I'm going to pray as we get ready to go back into worship. Father, as we come to you in prayer at this moment, we're just reminded that you tell us to address you, to call you Father. That language is how you want us to know you and to relate to you and how you relate to us. That we are your sons and daughters, that you are our Father, that we are family with you, and that we are family with one another, that you've called us and made us brothers and sisters. And so, God, this morning we be reminded of the importance of how much we need each other. That following you and living this way is something that we truly do together. Help us this morning to take whatever our next step is in going deeper into being the community, the church that you've designed us to be, we pray. In your name, amen.
Let's trust him together this morning, the King of Kings. Christ is my firm foundation, oh, the rock on which I stand, and everything around me is shaking. Oh, I've never been more glad that I put my faith in Jesus, 'cause he's never let me down. He's faithful through generations. So why would he fail now? Oh, he won't. He won't. I've still got joy. I've still got joy in chaos. I've got peace that makes no sense. I won't be going under. I'm not held by my own strength, 'cause I build my life on Jesus, and he's never let me down. He's faithful in every season. So I would He won't. Oh, He won't. He won't fail. He won't fail. Oh, He won't. Oh, He won't. He won't fail. He won't fail. He won't fail. Christ is my firm foundation. Come on. The rock on which I stand when everything around me is shaking. Oh, I've never been more glad that I put my faith in Jesus. 'Cause He's never let me down. He's faithful through generations. So why would He fail now? He won't. No, He won't. He won't fail. He won't fail. It's an opportunity this morning to put your faith in Christ again, to trust Him no matter what's going on in your life. Let's sing this together. Oh, the rain came and winds blew, but my house was built on you. And I'm safe with you, and I'm gonna make it through. The rain came, the winds blew, but my house was built on you. And I'm safe with you, and I'm gonna make it through. Oh, the rain came, the winds blew, my house was built on you. Oh, and I'm safe with you, but I'm gonna make it through. Oh yeah, I'm gonna make it through, 'cause I'm standing strong on you. Oh yes, I'm gonna make it through, because my house was built on you, and Christ is my firm foundation. Oh, the rock on which I stand when everything around me is shaking. Oh, I've never been more glad that I put my faith in Jesus. 'Cause He's never let me down. He's faithful through generations. So why would He fail now? Oh, He won't. Oh, He won't. He won't fail. He won't fail. Believe this together. Oh, He won't. He won't. Oh, He won't. He won't fail. He won't fail. He won't fail. No, He won't.
Praying God will come. something. God is doing something. When? Right now. He is healing someone. He is saving someone. God is doing something. Right now. He is healing someone. He is saving someone. God is doing something. Right now. He is moving mountains, making a way for someone. God is doing something. Right now. He is moving mountains, making a way for someone. God is doing something. He is moving mountains, making a way for someone. God is doing something right now. He is moving mountains, making a way for someone. God is doing something right now. All of my hope is in the name of Jesus. Breakthrough will come in the name of Jesus. All of my hope is in the name of Jesus. Breakthrough will come in the name of Jesus. God turn it around, God turn it around, God turn it around, oh, God turn it around, God turn it around, God turn it around, God turn it around.
Hey, well, good morning, everyone. Good to be with you right as we're starting a new year. And today, as Pastor Scott mentioned, we're talking about the idea of community. And one of the things that we do in community, right, is we celebrate big moments. And this morning at 2:30 in the morning, I didn't read my text till later in the morning, but at 2:30 in the morning, I got a text from Nate Hughes saying that his and Andrea Hughes, who leads our word, their baby has arrived. So this is baby Miles, and the first thing my wife asked after I got Nate's text was, well, what does baby Miles weigh? Nate didn't say, I have no idea. Why is that so important to you people? That's what I want to know. Why is that? Nobody asked how tall the kid is. They just want to know what he weighs. So you can ask Nate that. But what a great moment for them. So today we're talking about the idea of community. And today I want to talk about how we all look for a place to belong, that deep on the inside, all of us want to find our people. We want to find who we belong to and who we belong with. And isn't it true that wherever we go in life, we ask ourselves, where are my people? If you start a new job, you start looking around, where are my people here? If you go to college, you're looking around, where are my people? You join a gym or you move into a new neighborhood, you're asking, where are my people, right? We're all kind of wired that way. And Christ gives us the church so that we can find our people who also have this passion for God, and we can do life together. So today I want to invite you to realize that the Grove, this is the place that God has given you to find your people. And it's true, everywhere we go in life, we're asking that question, aren't we? Where are my people? When I say that, I think about my first year in college at Biola University. Biola's in Southern California, and when I moved into my dorm room, 2 doors down was a guy named Jim. Now, Jim became a very good friend, but we didn't call Jim was from Minnesota, but nobody on our floor called Jim Jim. We called him Cowboy. Because when Jim showed up, he showed up wearing a Stetson hat, cowboy boots, Wrangler jeans, and a big old belt buckle. And so we just called him Cowboy. And of course, we included him. He was part of our posse. He played intramural football with us. We loved Jim. We hung out with Jim. But Jim was always known as Cowboy because, and here's the thing, you can dress cowboy here in Arizona, love it, love you for doing that. But if you're living just a few minutes from Huntington Beach, the whole cowboy thing really doesn't work. And I watched Jim the whole semester. He never did find his people. There were no other people at Biola dressing like Jim. So when the second semester started, I noticed that Jim comes back to school and he's left all of his cowboy gear at home. And now he's wearing a members only jacket. He bought him a OP t-shirt. He's wearing parachute pants and some topsiders. That's Jim's new look. And it worked because just a few weeks after that, he meets a girl, starts dating a girl named Nicole, and they get married. He found his people, all right? Just had to dress a little different. We all go through life like that, don't we? Looking for our people. And I want to remind you that Christ gives us the church to say, your people are here. This is the place where you will find them. So I want to give you several community challenges this morning as we start a new year. And the first one is this, is to rediscover your first love. To rediscover, as John writes in Revelation, your first love, and make Christian community your top priority. So let me read to you what John writes. This is Jesus speaking through John, and he has messages for the churches, the early churches. And he says to the church in Ephesus, this is verse 3, Revelation 2, you have patiently suffered for me without quitting, but I have this against you. You have lost your first love. And so Jesus is saying to this church, hey, you've abandoned me. You've forgotten about me. I think the problem is there are a lot of people who say that they love God, who like the idea of church, but it's not become their first love, or it used to be their first love, and they have not anymore. Let's be honest. There are a lot of people who say they are Christians and say they believe in God, but the church has become their third love, or their fourth love, or their 10th love, and it's not their first love. I want to challenge you to make it your first love. Let's be honest. There are people that live in, not you sitting here this morning, I'm talking about other people that live in Chandler and Gilbert. There are other people that say, I will make it to church if I have time, or if it's not raining, which has been the case the last few weeks, or if we don't have better plans, or if my kids aren't in a tournament, or if my Detroit Lions aren't playing, or my Green Bay Packers, or my Dallas Cowboys, or whatever losing team you follow. Then I'll make it. If they're not playing at 11 o'clock, I'll be there. And can I just say, that's weak, and that Jesus calls us to make this our first love. And so this year, can I invite you to make Christian community here at the Grove your first love? Here's the problem. Here's part of the problem. Is in first century Mediterranean culture, community was a big part of life for them. For us, we live in a much different kind of society. For us, we live in a very individualistic society. We live a very independent life as people in American culture. And maybe it started 200 years ago when we defeated the British, and that was a great day, wasn't it? And we gained our independence. And our independence as a nation is a great thing, so don't misunderstand what I'm saying. But this independent spirit has made its way into our soul to where we live alone and independent. But if you think about it, one of our most important documents in our country is the Declaration of Independence. Every year we celebrate Independence Day. For 200 years, we've made independence a value, which is good for a nation, but it's not great for the soul. It's not great for you as a person, because you miss out on something. There's a dark side, there's a downside to independence, is that we live self-reliant and we live alone. God's intent for us in following Jesus Christ was never that this faith was something that we do alone. One of the downsides, one of the dark sides of living individualistically is loneliness and aloneness. Some say that loneliness began to enter into our culture and become pervasive when the Industrial Revolution came along. And you say, well, what does that have to do with anything? Well, up until the Industrial Revolution, the community, the town, the village produced everything that you needed in life. So let's say, for example, you needed a new frying pan. You didn't go to the store and buy it. You went and found a blacksmith who would beat some steel into the shape of a frying pan. If you needed a new pair of shoes, you'd go find the leathersmith who would make you a pair of shoes. Then the Industrial Revolution came along, and factories began to produce frying pans and shoes, and you would go to a store and buy those. And so you no longer needed the community around you. You no longer needed the blacksmith or whoever, the person who baked the pies in town or who sewed the clothes. You didn't need them anymore. And so community was lost as a value, became more independent. And then if we fast forward 100 years, in 2007, we got our first iPhones and social media showed up. And all of a sudden, instead of having 4 or 5 friends, you had 2,000 friends, except you didn't hardly know any of them, but they were your friends on Facebook. And all of a sudden, our social connectedness came down to something on a phone. That was 2007. And then just 2 years ago, we had this kind of revolution in the workplace after COVID where so many people started working at home and alone. And it's very possible now today for people to spend 40 hours a week just working alone. And you see how our society has produced this culture of loneliness and aloneness. God's desire, though, for us is to be in community and we thrive in our relationship with Him when we are in it. Around the world, if we compare our societies to societies around the world, every generation since creation has lived in small village groups and communities. And in these communities, you helped raise each other's children, you met each other's needs, you pooled your resources, you pooled your abilities, you depended on the community, you helped take care of each other's families, you had each other's backs. You would hold each other accountable. You took care of each other's family. That all happened. You sat around fires together at night, and everybody knew each other. The 80% of the world still lives this way in small community-based groups and villages. But we, in our society, we are different. We have chosen individualism, where I will take care of myself, but we end up being very isolated. We can pretend that we can do life on our own, but it doesn't always work out so well. I'm being a little facetious here, but here's how our lives go. And most of us here in the East Valley, we live in our little residences with our little families, and we eat dinner alone by ourselves sometimes, and we look at our little screens, and we occupy this crevice, this one small crevice we call home, and we fill it with everything we could possibly need, and then we protect ourselves from all the evil out there. We lock our door, and we put Ring out front to protect us from the evil Amazon empire and all of those people. And we live in our little houses by ourselves with our few people around us that we think are safe. And we end up being cut off from everyone else around us. Now, we can feel comfortable and safe and entertained, but we end up being completely alone. Nearly all of us live this way, and the truth is, it's not working, is it, for any of us? We live alone, we eat alone, we run our errands alone, we suffer alone. Researchers are saying that 3 in 5 Americans now are saying that they struggle with loneliness and aloneness. More than half of Americans report feeling alone. Scientists are now saying that loneliness is worse for our health than obesity and smoking and inactivity. Some are saying it's the new epidemic in our country is loneliness. My wife was on her social media this weekend, and on Friday night she said that she saw that one of her many Facebook friends posted, "Does anyone in the Ann Arbor area want to hang out tonight?" That's someone's soul crying out, "I'm alone. Is there anyone out there that cares about me?" And I just say all that to remind us that God never meant for us to go through life alone. We're not meant to learn alone. We're not meant to eat alone. We're not meant to relax alone. We're not meant to celebrate alone or cry alone. We're not meant to worship alone. And so God's answer to all of this aloneness that so many of us feel is this idea of community. So that's my challenge today, is where we start, is to make community your first love. Christian community, to dive into that, to pour into that. So second, I want to challenge you with this, to make family, to make your second family, make church your second family. If you would turn to Matthew with me, Matthew chapter 12, verse 46. And Jesus, Jesus, when he talked about his followers, he always used family language. And here's how he says it here. While Jesus was still talking to the crowd, his mother and brothers stood outside, wanting to speak to him. And someone told him, "Your mother and your brother are standing outside wanting to speak to you." And he replied to them, "Who is my mother and my brothers?" He says, pointing to his disciple, he said, "Here are my mother and my brothers. For whoever does the will of my Father in heaven is my brother and sister and my mother." So Jesus, whenever he talked about his followers, he so often used brother and sister language or mother and father language. Paul, when he writes his letters to the churches, he uses brother and sister language. And here's what we can miss in this. Yes, in our culture, family has a very tight bond. But our family bond is nowhere near as strong as first century Middle Eastern culture's family bond. The bond between brothers and sisters and sons and daughters was incredibly powerful. Researchers now are convinced that it was even more powerful than the bond between a couple in marriage. Yes, when a couple got married, there was a bond. But for example, a woman always felt a greater commitment to her brothers and her father and her mother than even to her own husband. Maybe that's the case today, but that's not too healthy, is it? It's not great. But that's the bond. And so in first century Middle East, when Jesus is saying, "You are like my brothers and my sisters," it's a very powerful statement. The driving question for a young couple wasn't, what does the couple want to do? It was, what does the extended family want to do? So the metaphor that the church is like family, it's so much more than a metaphor. It's not just like or as. The truth of it is, from the New Testament, is we are brothers and sisters. We are family. It's more than a metaphor. Because if God is literally our Father, then that makes all of us here in this room brothers and sisters. Do you see how that works? So because God is Father, you are my brothers and my sisters. I hope you can see each other like that. That's why I say this year, make your church family your second family. That's the challenge today. When I say this, I think about Shola. So Shola is from the country of Malawi. He's here at the Grove with us. And Shola is a graduate student. He's going to Phoenix Seminary. He's a graduate of African Bible College in Malawi. And Shola's birthday was a couple of months ago. And a gentleman here at the Grove named Ken had gotten to know Shola in our men's ministry. So Ken invited everyone that knew Shola to come for a birthday party. And I think more than 30 people showed up at Ken's house. And it was an amazing celebration. And I saw Shola the next day here at church. And Shola said, "Palmer, can you believe it?" He said, "More than 30 people showed up at my birthday." He said, "I didn't know I knew that many people here." And he said this several times. He said, "This is my family now. This is my family." By the way, Shola's here running one of our cameras. So thank you, Shola. We love having you a part of the Grove. Thank you. But that's how it should be, and I hope you feel that here. I have a few New Testament family values on the screen here. And I want to remind you of these values and how they change who we are when we live in community, is that family shares. If you're part of this family here, we're here to share our resources with each other. Family grows together. I think spiritual growth, spiritual formation happens best in Christian community with others as opposed to by ourselves. Family is honest with each other. Family can hold each other accountable. Family is honest about our struggles, about our shortcomings, about our trouble. Family is honest. Family loves no matter what. And that's one of the things. your physical brothers and sisters, you always have to accept them and love them. It's the same with your family here. Family loves no matter what. Family cheers and champions. Family is there in the hard times, and family is there in the best times as well. All right, here's a third challenge that I want to put in front of you this morning, is to make this place your third place. So we read about the third place in Acts chapter 2. So the early church quickly made their church place, their connecting place, their third place. Every believer, we read, was faithfully devoted to following the teachings of the apostles. Their hearts were mutually linked to one another, sharing communion and coming together regularly for prayer. A deep sense of holy awe swept over everyone, and the apostles performed many miraculous signs and wonders. And all the believers were in fellowship as one body, and they shared everything with one another, whatever they had. Out of generosity, they even sold their assets to distribute the proceeds to those who were in need among them. Daily, they met together in the temple courts and in one another's homes to celebrate communion. They shared meals together with joyful hearts and tender humility. They were continually filled with praises to God, enjoying the favor of all the people. And the Lord kept adding to the number daily those who were coming to life. All of us need a place like that, a place where we belong, a place where we come together and enjoy the presence of others. We all need a third place, especially as followers of Jesus Christ, where we can connect with others who also are following God. So as I use this language, third place, I think everyone knows what that is. A third place is a place where you connect with your friends. A third place is a place where you are inspired. A third place is a place where maybe you know everybody, but it's also welcoming new people in. A third place is a place that is inclusive and bonds form and friendships form. And people in all facets of life, not just in church, are looking for third places. I have a nephew who has a third place. It's a very interesting third place. His third place is medieval cosplay, and I'm not making this up. He dresses in kilts, and he plays a bagpipe, and they have second breakfast, all right? That's what you do in medieval cosplay. Yeah, but there are all kinds of groups that people join. There are I know people in road bike groups, people in kid groups, and people in golf groups and dog groups. I mean, you name the group and people will be in it, because everybody is looking for a place to belong. And so my invitation to you as we start a new year is to make this place, this church, your connecting place. Because deep on the inside of all of us, if we're honest with ourselves, all of us want people around us who we can have long, meaningful, deep conversations with, and people who become deeply connected to us, who, if we needed a kidney, they would give us one of them. We all want friends like that. We all want a place where we have friends who would show up unannounced at our front door with a box of pizza and paper plates just because they want to hang out. We all want people like that in our lives. We all want people who we can live on mission with. We all desire people in our lives who we can spend time with unhurried and unscheduled, and they just want to be with us. People who know our joys and our pains. Here's the problem. I think all of us are waiting for someone else to initiate this. We're waiting for someone else to invite us in and to include us. And I want to say God's answer is community, but the challenge for you is to take the initiative, to dive into community. Social scientists say this about human beings. They say that you can maintain about 150 acquaintances. There's about 150 people that you can go through a year connected to, kind of barely. You try to stay connected to more than 150 and things just fall off the shelf. But you can stay connected to about 150. But then there are only about 50 that social scientists will call your village. They're like your tribe. Those are the people who you know well. And then inside of those 50, there are only 15 who you can know intimately. 15 who would be, you could describe them as your posse or your BFF. I don't know what language you use, but there's only 15. And then inside of those 15, there will only be 5 that you can connect with at a soul level. So there's 150, there's 50 who you know pretty well, there's 15 that you can be close to, there's 5 that you can bond with deeply. Now, where a person lands in that depends on one factor, time. How much time you invest in that relationship. So if there's someone who's in part of your 150, but you want them part of your 5, you know that you can grow from them. You know that they would be great for your life and in your relationship with God. The one factor that changes everything is time. I've said this before, but I'll say it again today, that in my opinion, Christian community is life-giving. It really is. Because we can go through life feeling alone and lonely and dry on the inside, but Christian community is life-giving. When I say that, it reminded me of a social media post that one of my staff showed me not long ago. This is from a young man named Jonathan, and he writes, "If you think church is lame, let me introduce you to the Grove." Now, he's not saying the Grove is lame, all right? So let me keep reading. Can we just hang on a second? Just hold on. All right. So if you think church is lame, and I guess people think that, let me introduce you to the Grove. And your view on the Christian life will change forever. You'll meet real people who love you for who you are right now, of all races and all personalities. Yeah, thank you. We can applaud that. Thank you. I hope you feel that here. I don't know Jonathan, but Jonathan has put his finger on the pulse of the Grove. And if you haven't found community like that, I say find it here. And community becomes life-giving. It's God's answer to aloneness. And I want to remind you that you are not alone anymore. As we have built the Grove over the last 20 years, we have intentionally designed this place to be a space where you can connect with others. Community is one of our core values. We want people to come here and hang out, not just on Sunday mornings, but all week long. That's why I say community is life-giving. And I've said this before, but I'm going to say it again. For example, we have a playground out here, but it's not just a playground. It's a life ground, all right? We have a softball field. By the way, we had our softball championship yesterday. Kyle Ray, who won that? I don't know. I don't know if your team did. Yes, no? No, ooh, sorry. But it's not just a softball field, is it? It's a life ball field. And we don't just have a coffee shop here. It's a life shop, I think. We don't have small groups at the Grove. We have life groups. And maybe this worship house, we could also call it a life house because community is life-giving. We don't just have a front lawn out here. I think it's a life lawn. I don't know if you've noticed, but we seed it with soccer balls and footballs and wiffle balls and frisbees every week. And by the way, I've had a few old grouchy people say, hey, maybe we shouldn't put soccer balls and footballs out there because the kids are hitting people in the head. Can I just say that's your problem, all right? Just live a little more aware, keep your head on a swivel. That's fine. Be in a defensive posture as you go through the lawn out here. Because we put the soccer balls and the wiffle balls and the footballs so that kids will hang out and parents will connect. This is a connecting place. It's a life lawn. I said that our coffee shop is named Grove Coffee. It really could be named Life Coffee because coffee is a connecting drink, isn't it? So we encourage coffee drinking here. Some churches don't. But I've heard years ago that coffee is the beer of Baptists, and we have a lot of recovering Baptists here at the Grove, so we serve coffee for them. But I was in a church in Charlotte a while ago, and I was going with some friends, and we're hurrying through the courtyard because we're late, and they have a coffee stand in the courtyard. So I was like, I need some coffee, and so I hadn't had coffee yet, and so we stopped. And I was so excited about my coffee, and I'm walking just another 15, 20 steps to the front door, and I think they called them ushers. 2 ushers were there. I'm going to call them bouncers. And so there's 2 bouncers there, and they both put their hands out, and they said, you can't come in. I said, what? They said, you can't come in with your coffee. I said, but you don't understand. Just like 15 feet that way. I got my coffee. So how can I drink it from there to here? They said, no, that's your problem. You can't bring it in. I say all that to say, is the Grove, we highly encourage coffee drinking because coffee is a connecting drink. And we do all of this on purpose that you connect here. Loneliness, I think, is something that happens to us. But the good news is you can dig yourself out. And it starts by making this your third place, by making church your first love, by diving into community. And in community, somebody knows who you are. They know when the best things happen. They're there when the hard things happen. They're there on the days when you're discouraged, when the worst things happen. In community, they're there for that. But they are also there on the best days, when you have your first grandkid, when your kid graduates from high school or college. They're there when you get a promotion at work or you get a new job and you have a community around you to celebrate. Or when you have a baby like the Hughes just did, we'll all celebrate together. That's why I say community is life-giving. So don't just make this your third place. Make this your second family. Make it your top priority. Make it your first love. And as I was saying, in community, we aren't just there in the hard times, but we celebrate the best things with each other. And on Tuesday, this last Tuesday, I got a text from a good friend named Tracy. And Tracy shared this text. I think there were 6 or 7 of us in the text. But Tracy had some great news to celebrate. And I said, Tracy, that's such good news. I called him this week. I said, would you share that with the whole church? So can we welcome Tracy on stage this morning? Tracy, good to have you here.
Thank you.
So Tracy, speaking of our life lawn out front here, you know, we have wiffle balls and soccer balls. And I see people out there kicking those, throwing those. There's rumor out there on the street that you and Byron were hitting golf balls across Gilbert Road from right here.
Absolutely.
Okay, I just want you to know. That's true, by the way. Okay, Tracy, you text us on Tuesday because 2 years ago, something happened in your life. Can you share that with our people here?
Absolutely. 2 years ago, I was sitting right in this section right over here, and the question was posed by Matt Shively. Is there something that needs to stay in 2020? What doesn't need to be part of your 2021 year? And in that moment, sitting right there in those chairs, I realized that my life had come under the grips of addiction and alcoholism in a way that was consuming me. It wasn't allowing me to be the father or the husband that I truly needed to be. And in that moment, I decided that was going to stay right there in that seat. And on Tuesday, 730
First,
days
we
later.
want to applaud that 2 years ago. That's amazing. And thank you for being willing to share that. Not everyone shares their struggles. Thank you.
And then the text that you got on Tuesday was 730 days later. I celebrated 2 years freedom from alcohol.
104 weeks.
104 weeks, all those hours free from something that had consumed my life for over 2 decades. So it was an honor.
104 weeks of sobriety. That's amazing. Now, today we're talking about how our church community is our family. How has your family here helped walk you through? Because I've seen this. I've watched your tribe go through the last 104 weeks with you. Tell us how church has been like family for you over the last 2 years.
Yeah, surprisingly, I'm not the only one that struggles with alcohol and addiction. And so the funny thing was I was carrying around a bit of shame and guilt. It had consumed me, right? And so when I first said that, I tell people it was like 300 pounds of weight was lifted from me when I just said, hey, I struggle. Here's what happened. A bunch of people in this room, and as I look around, they said, me too.
Yeah.
Right? And that next night, I came to celebrate recovery right in this room, and a bunch of people said, I'll go on that journey with you. They'll hold me. They'll love me. They'll support me when I couldn't support myself. And over these years, those people have gathered around me and become a family, a tribe. I love that language of people that cared for me so much. In the midst of what I thought was the impossible struggle, the thing that I could not get out of, those people carried me.
Love that, Tracy. We don't have to go through our hard days alone, do we? Someone was applauding that. It's amazing. Well, Tracy, one of my favorite parts of your story is most people would just be satisfied to make it through 104 weeks clean, but you've been busy. You've been inviting others on this journey with you. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, man, I don't know why I got choked up right there. You know, I realized that my life had been saved, right? So a 12-step program, a bunch of people, that was good. That got me going, but it didn't really fulfill me until I said, you know what else can I do? And I found there was a need for homing people in alcoholism and addiction that we could meet. I had the means and the facilities. A great story that I can't share all here, but I can tell you that it never happens without God's hand being on it. I was able to acquire a home here in Mesa, and to date we've had over 24 men come through our home. We've helped them through their struggles, got them through some of that addiction.
You started your own sobriety home.
Yeah, we started our own home.
Grove?
Yeah.
Okay, this is one guy. Okay. It's amazing.
One guy and a lot of support.
Yeah, and a lot of friends,
a lot of
family.
A lot of friends. And I can't even tell you how much, how grateful I am for not just the Grove, but the other people that might be listening and watching that again came along and supported a vision that I might have had, but also said, man, we're willing to give. Like, I love that you said that. Like, what time am I willing to give? Hey, all I can do is do this. Man, that's what all this guy needed. I'm also, glad to announce the launching. Some guy came up to me after I started the home and said, you should be able to do more than that. I'm thinking, wow, this house and all this. Oh, okay, but back up. But he's right. He's right, because that 6 to 12 guys that I'm able to help wasn't enough for me, right?
Yeah.
So I'm proud to announce that I've started a nonprofit called Let's Go Recovery. And Let's Go Recovery is going to come around men and women that struggle with alcoholism, addiction, whatever it is that you struggle with. We are going to come and we're going to support you. We're going to love on you. We're going to give you the resources. And I'm actually proud to announce, like, after last service, Palmer, and you don't even know this, I stood right here with a woman, and she said, would you help my son? And it blows my mind. 2 of my guys are on the way to the house right now with her son, and to tell him he has hope that tomorrow he can wake up and he does not have to be in the grips of alcoholism and addiction anymore.
Amen.
And I'm proud to say that.
All right. Thank you, Tracy. Love that. Well, Tracy, that's a powerful story. You're still in the middle of it.
Sure.
Okay, your family's here with you. And we're going to keep walking this with you, Tracy. And we're here to help make all of this happen as well. Hey, church, could we stand and pray over Tracy and really our whole family here at the Grove? God, thank you for the change you've been working in Tracy's life. Thank you for the healing. Thank you for how you're using him and his story to change the lives of others, God. We thank you for that. And God, I pray for your people at the Grove, for those who feel alone and lonely. May they find healing in your community here, God. Will you introduce them to the people around them who want to walk this life together and be that people who help heal each other and bring each other closer to you. I pray that for each of your people at the Grove today, God. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. Thank you, Tracy. Everybody, can we thank Tracy for being here today?
Let's close by singing together today. People come together, strangers, neighbors, our blood is one. Children of generations, of every nation, of kingdom. Don't let your heart be troubled. And hold your head up high, don't fear no evil. And fix your eyes on this one truth. God is madly in love with you. So take courage, hold on, be strong. Remember where our help comes from. Here we go. Whoa. In Jesus, our redemption, our salvation is in His blood. In Jesus, the light of heaven, friend forever, His kingdom come. Don't let your heart be troubled, and hold your head up high. Don't fear evil. Just fix your eyes on this one truth: God is madly in love with you. So take courage, hold on, be strong. Remember where our help comes from. Sweet wine,
all you heavens, let the praise go up as the walls come down. All creation, everything with breath, repeat the sound. All His children, clean hands, pure hearts, good grace, good God. His name is Jesus.
here we go. Sweet wine, oh sweet wine,
All you heavens, let the praise go up as the walls come down. All creation, everything with breath, repeat the sound. All His children, clean hands, pure hearts, good grace, good God. His name is Jesus.
sweet wine,
Oh, sweet wine, all you heavens, let the praise go up as the walls come down. All creation, everything with breath, repeat the sound. All His children, clean hands, pure hearts, good grace, good God. His name is Jesus.
here we go.
And
Sweet wine,
oh, sweet wine, all you heavens, let the praise go up as the walls come down. All creation, everything with breath, repeat the sound. All His children, clean hands, pure hearts, good grace, good God. His name is Jesus.
Jesus, our redemption.
Oh, Jesus, our redemption, our salvation is in His blood.
In Jesus, light of heaven, friend forever, oh, His kingdom come.
Awesome. Well, Grove, as we leave today, I just want to leave you with this challenge that Palmer put out there about community. And specifically the thing that he said of taking the initiative, right? Not kind of waiting for someone else to do this for you, but you going on our website and signing up for something, or sending an email, right? If you have some questions or want to know more about something, and then taking the next step of actually like showing up to whatever this community environment would be. And I jotted down a few things that just came to the top of my head as I think of spaces and community environments that you can get in. Things like life groups, as we mentioned, rooted groups starting next month, our Reconcile Young Adult Ministry, all of our youth group ministry, Celebrate Recovery that was mentioned, our art community, women's and men's Bible studies, serving on a team in some area here, grief share, divorce care, Sunday morning Bible study called Closer Look. There are so many environments and ways that you can step in. And then when you take that initiative and do that, I'm gonna give you one other challenge. Commit to it for I'll just say a month. I'm pulling that number out of nowhere. Why? Because the reality is community can be hard, right? At times, people can be a bit challenging at times. So commit to it. Stay in one place long enough to realize that maybe for the first time, you are actually starting to get somewhere. And thank you for what you give here to the Grove week in and week out, because your giving is part of your worship and all of that. Your giving is what allows for the environments that we're talking about, these spaces and gatherings, the resources that go into them. It's what makes all of that possible. Wouldn't happen without what you give. So thank you for that. We've got giving boxes all around the rooms. You can give online as well. Thanks so much for being here. Have a great rest of the day. We'll see you real soon.